The idea behind the every character from Star Trek is on the same ship fanfiction kind of requires that every character is actually on the Enterprise. The second episode of Enterprise 1 decided to cozy up to the last man on Earth in terms of violating its own premise by opening on Nog, not on the Enterprise, and crashing a shuttle on Volius before a smash cut to 1 year later. Turns out that Nog, scrappy underdog kid criminal come Starfleet officer, has done what we all expected him to do while marooned on an inhabited planet for a year, and started a cult. I mean, it's a wealth cult that's reminiscent of a lot of modern day Christian prosperity gospel, and I guess Nog did convince Jake to do a lot of things, and now that I think about it, in the pilot of Deep Space Nine, he was doing a crime with a guy I could only describe as the Muscle, and since teenage Ferengi are otherwise useless for crimes, he probably was the mastermind behind that one. Regardless, we enter into a cool bridge dialogue, which starts with Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott giving a baby's first breach of the Prime Directive speech to the senior staff, and suggesting we take Nog and Jet, and it ends with Scotty telling his working shift that they're going to remove the head of a cult while trying to reverse the damage Nog has done, showing how he takes ownership for the decision made by the senior staff. The Prime Directive speech is good and economical until it gets to the point where it tells 30 years of smirking internet nerds with secondhand knowledge of Star Trek where to shove it. It's not undeserved, but it drives the exposition into the weeds, and that's the worst place to put exposition, short of shifting straight into reverse. We get a few plans for Nog to shutter his prosperity cult, but Nog says that they're overestimating how capable his cultists are. We see pity tinged with contempt as he says that every standard solution will result in his cultists buckling under the loss of their leader and turning to suicide or violence. And there's nothing more satisfying than Saavik giving him a sick burn when asking why that didn't occur to him when he made a cult. The episode progresses, and we get satisfying interactions between Nog, Saavik, Troy, Scotty, Ro, and O'Brien and Bashir. We see the relationship between Saavik and Ro awkwardly introduced in a way that makes your reject forced romances gland give you a headache, until two subsequent scenes give you their ice and fire dynamic. And then we start getting hints that Nog's year of power and affluence at the head of a cult has given him the tendency to project his flaws onto others. And that last one is our real plot, and it's a good one. I mean, when you screw up, you should face your screw-ups. To some extent, your screw-ups should rub their screw-up butts in your face and leave sweat and butt hairs on your face while you accept that you made a mistake. And certainly, a 50-minute Star Trek fan production can't cover the gulf of nuance between the suffering wouldn't exist if I had attained Golconda and transcended the material plane to eliminate all pain, and all suffering that flows from my gun has been caused by people who aren't strong enough to be bulletproof. It's a wide field of thought, so we are dealing with a narrow case. It lags a bit in the middle, but it makes its point. Wealth and success insulate us from our screw-ups and allow us to project those flaws into exterior causes instead of ourselves. Nog has to destroy his reputation by acting like a stereotypical Ferengi, a violation of Volius norms which breaks the prestige of the cult. It calls back to Star Trek's message of self-improvement and reminds us that a healthy amount of self-criticism is necessary for that. I expected something broader for a second episode, but Enterprise 1 focuses on the little moments that we like. Watching Scotty and Deanna be a dad-mom team for Delta Shift, seeing O'Brien and Bashir being reset to their pre-BFF relationship, with Scotty sprinkled in, and the Ro, Laren / Saavik dynamic with all the messy weirdness that mimics our own surprise at it. It's solid. I don't think Enterprise 1 has reached its duet or its measure of a man episode where we see what the series looks like when it sells us, its first good episode. But even though the actors are a literal grab bag and the budget is $50 in raw enthusiasm for the idea, it is showing us the potential for that good episode.